Sri Shyamji, Bhatnagar.
Thank you, Narayan. Am I permitted to say a few things? I am going to explain two words, yoga and nada. Yoga means to unite, to yoke. Something to be yoked with something. Nada is an unending sound that has no beginning and no end. It's based on the understanding that the universe began with a sound. Universe is an effect of sound. Whether you believe in science or you believe in religion or philosophy, sound is the common denominator in all. For example, you can't have a big bang without a sound. You can't have a word without a sound. You can't have Om mantra without a sound. So sound is the common denominator, no matter what tradition you may subscribe to. Now, if everything is made up of sound, which means that we are also made up of sound, which means that if there is a sound, I should be able to hear it. So yogis decided that we are going to make this body become a bindu. Bindu means stillness, a still point. Now the scientists say that the universe at one time was just a pinpoint which exploded, expanded. In India, the concept of bindu existed before the scientists were even born. Nada and bindu. These are the two factors that will take us to the light that we truly are. There is a saying, Atma Prakasha Brahman, that ultimately we all have to experience that we are the light of Brahman. Brahman is, actually I met a nearly enlightened being who I still know. He's 96 years old now. I met him when he was 81. And what I learned from him is just absolutely amazing. A little brief introduction to give about him. He was offered the position of Shankaracharya of the South. And he humbly refused, saying that I am not ready for that responsibility. There are better qualified people for that job. You know what Shankaracharya means? He's like a pope of the South. There are 4 Shankaracharyas in India, East, West, South, and North. So he was born in South India, so they offered him the Pope of the South. But he refused. Anyhow, I have been studying Vedanta with him now since he was 81, so about 15 years. No, 15 and 20, 35 years. Yes. And he really introduced me to the word consciousness as to what actually it means. Because in English we have a confusion between awareness and consciousness. We interchangeably use it. And he explained to me that awareness fluctuates. What I'm going to say you are not aware of. When I say it, you become aware of it, which means that there is a stage of unawareness and there is a stage of awareness. But consciousness is consistent. It always is, was, and ever shall be. Imagine a day comes when, according to the scientists, this universe will go into a black hole. But then they say after some time it comes back again. It's like life of Brahma. One day of Brahma. The age of the universe. So when the universe disappears, does consciousness disappear too? No. Consciousness is the only thing that remains. In fact, Swamiji says, consciousness is all there is. Everything else is on the authority of consciousness. That's, in Sanskrit they are called Brahman. In English translation will be consciousness. That which has no beginning, no end. It just is. So that distinction between awareness and consciousness was very important for me to incorporate in the book that I finally wrote on chakras and micro chakras. There is a concept of 3 bodies in Sanskrit we have. It's called Karan Sharira, which means causal body. Sukshma Sharira, which means subtle body. And Sthul Sharira, which means physical body. Which means that we have 3 bodies. All our thoughts, they come to us from the causal body. All our feelings, they come to us from our subtle body, and the bodily sensations we feel with the physical body, which means pleasure or pain. But the feelings of love, ego, they come from subtle body. Thoughts, they come from the causal body. Now let's see if it bears out any reality in our practical life. Since the thoughts come from the causal body, that should be first. For example, before you came to this meeting, did you think of coming here? Answer is yes. I mean, nobody just dropped in from the ceiling. We thought of coming here. In fact, many thoughts come to our minds, but we don't necessarily obey them or fulfill them. because they were not accompanied with the subtle body. So first the causal body, the thought, then a feeling attached to it that you might enjoy it, you might learn something. When those two bodies united, the physical body was brought here. So at the physical level, a action is the result of the two stages before it. Does that make sense? So we all have three bodies: physical, subtle, and causal. In our subtle body, there are discs, spinning discs of light. They're called chakras. Chakra means a disc, a wheel. They are usually not visible to the naked eye. But some visionaries, obviously in the past, have had the experience, and therefore there are books written on the chakras. My Guruji was he was a visionary, and he taught me some extraordinary things, including how to chant mantras according to the principles of Nada Yoga. Up till the fifth chakra, which is called Vishuddha chakra, we make sounds directed by the mind. You see, there are 7 different chakras, probably most of you know about, from Mooladhara to Swadhisthana to Manipura, Anahat, Vishuddha, Agya, and then Sahasrara. So all these 7 chakras, they create 7 different minds. 7th chakra mind is the only mind that experiences deep sleep. 6th chakra mind only experiences dreams. 5th chakra mind can hear your own vibration, your own fundamental note, your own nada. Heart chakra mind can feel the unconditional love. 3rd chakra mind feels and reasons. Reasons, rational. 3rd chakra mind experiences that. Gender experience is experienced by the 2nd chakra mind. And the 1st chakra mind thinks I am this body. Now, the pathway is from the body to the light. 7 different minds, as much as they are useful to reach that light, they can also become an obstacle. It's like you need a mind to rise above the mind. In Vedanta, there is a saying that if you live life above the field of mind, then you are living in what's called Nishkarmya Siddhi. You have a power to act without caring for the result, as Bhagavan Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Karmanevya adhikarasti mahapalesha kadachina. To act is our dharma, is our duty. But to expect any result is not. Don't focus on the result. Focus on the action. Focus on the duty. So these 7 chakra minds, as useful as they are to live life, they can also become an obstacle. We can get addicted to any of those 7 chakra minds. And tonight, instead of telling you more about the philosophy of this, you probably are familiar with yoga philosophy. I don't have to use so much voice for that. I think you might want to hear some chanting that you might have a feeling of what Nada Yoga can do for us. Now, this is a very interesting way of chanting because it is very restricted to the fifth chakra knowledge, as I mentioned before, because it is above the level of bhakti. You understand? Bhakti is done in duality. You, the worshipper, and someone, something that is worshipped. Right? Love can take place only in duality. Whereas the dissolution of the five elements, five tattvas they are called, earth, water, fire, air, and akasha. In akasha, all four minds will dissolve. The mind of the earth chakra, mind of the water chakra, mind of the fire chakra, mind of the heart chakra, and the mind of the fifth chakra, which is akasha oriented, space oriented. So there is a way to chant where you can create the most extraordinary akasha human voice can produce. And that is what Nada Yoga is about. Practicing every day, expressing your unconditional love, discipline, third chakra, sacrificing a little bit of a pleasure through pain, I guess, because when you are asked to wake up at 4 in the morning, for some people it's pretty painful. One of my very advanced students, he came to me, he says, I have been practicing yoga for 18 years. And I said, what time do you wake up? He said, oh, about 7:30. I said, that's way past the sunrise. He said, yes. I said, your energy is in the second chakra at that time. You're supposed to wake up in the first chakra hours of the day. He said, I didn't know that. Then I said, well, now you do. Yoga is not just doing asanas. There are yamas and niyamas before it. You don't follow niyamas and then yes, your body can become very nice. Yes. You feel very good. You can feel a lot of pleasure, a lot of pain. Yes, it's physical body, only knows one thing, either pleasure or pain. But yoga is more than that. So, to prepare to do these chants, I would like you to repeat some sounds with me. And when you repeat it, you will feel like a sense of preparation to be able to hear sound from another level. I mean, it is shifting a gear within your own hearing process. And I hope by the time we end today, your hearing will become a little bit more sensitive than you probably already have. It happened to me, so I assume it will happen to you as well. Best is to use 7 sounds of 7 chakras. Actually, they are musical notes. Sounds of chakras are 51 in all, 7 of which are borrowed by the musicians, and they make use of them in terms of music. And that's what we will do. The only condition between chanting with Nada Yoga principles and Bhakti Yoga or any other form of yoga is that in the Nada Yoga tradition, you are required to breathe in with your nose. Mouth breathing is permitted only to sing, but not chant. Because the sacred words, they require pure prana. And pure prana comes into our body through the nose, not the mouth. Because chanting is not an art. Chanting is our birthright. Singing is an art. For that you have to breathe in with your mouth very discreetly and quickly. That's what makes you then a great singer. So this distinction must be realized, that you are chanting and not singing. Please slowly take a deep, deep breath with your nose. And then repeat after me. Sa. Sa. Ga. Re. Sa. Ga. Sa. Ga. Re. Ga. Sa. Re. Re. Ga. Sa. Ga. Re. Sa. Sa. Re. Ga. Pa. Re. Sa. Ga. Pa. Sa. Ga. Re. Pa. Ga. Sa. Re. Pa. Re. Ga. Sa. Pa. Ga. Re. Sa. Ga. Re. Sa. Da. Sa. Re. Da. Pa. Ga. Pa. Da. Sa. After chanting or meditation, it's advised you gently rub your hands and then wipe your face. According to Nada Yoga, sound can produce any one of the 9 different types of akashas. Akasha is the effect of sound. Human voice is capable to produce what is called Surya Akasha. It's a solar ether which helps to elevate. It's like an elevator that helps us go above the field of mind. So you can direct your mind rather than be directed by it. My Guruji used to say that there are 2 ways to live in life. One is to hold on to the horse from the bottom and let the horse go. And the other is to just flip over. And it is said that when you meet a guru, that's what the guru does for you. He just brings you to get on the saddle of the horse. Then you can direct your horse wherever you want to go. Otherwise, you are directed. And as it turns out that we have 7 horses, 7 minds to ride, 7 minds to ride. And in one lifetime, it's not possible. I guess that's why we believe in reincarnation. Because 330 millions of mantras have to be used. You can't use them in one lifetime. No. Many, many lifetimes. We have lived many, many lifetimes. We still will. So, there is no fear. I'm going to chant a mantra. I'd like you to just listen this time. Please just keep your eyes closed and see if this akasha, where it takes you. Ram, Shri Ram, 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 it is said that when you practice Nada Yoga, you start to hear various nadas before you hear your own fundamental note or your own nada. You see, everything in the universe is vibrating, which means that I am also vibrating, but I need to hear my own sound. And the reason we don't hear our own sound is because our five senses are so engaged with the stimulus that comes through our ears, through our touch, through our sight, through our taste, and through our smell, that we get totally absorbed by the external phenomena. That's why they created yoga asanas, so that the body can become totally still, like a triangle. In the workshops I will explain a little bit more. You all have a little paper like this with the 7 chakras on it. There are diagrams in the chakras, and you will see that the third chakra is a downward pointing fiery triangle. Gravity is pulling that fire downward. That is nature's plan. So that when the fire is pulled downward, it will keep the waters warm. Second chakra is water. And when the waters are warm, nature wants us to reproduce. It's nature's plan. Fire comes down to the first chakra. That gives us enough aggression so that we can occupy a piece of land to build our house. Like you must have a nest before you can lay eggs, right? But what if you have done that before in your past life? Or what if you have done that in this life and you are content? Now you don't need that fire to be going down. To reverse this downward pointing fiery triangle, all spiritual systems have been developed to reverse this triangle, to defy the gravity. Because once you defy the gravity, then this fire goes upward. Then it warms the air chakra, the heart chakra, and unconditional love will flow. I'll explain, and I will teach you some sounds when I, in a smaller gathering is much better than in a large gathering like this. Because there are mantras that you can do. If you improve upon the quality of doing your mantras, it will save a lot of time. A lot of time. You know, sometimes the quantity works and sometimes the quality works. You know, when I had the vision of the Micro Chakras, I did a workshop in the United Nations building where we had about 99 people to be sure. And there were 2 people very prominent in my life, they became. One was a psychiatrist, Dr. Harry Brown, and one was a cognitive psychology professor at Bridgeport University in Connecticut, David Isaacs. And both of them, after the weekend workshop, when I explained the concept of 147 micro chakras with some examples, David says to me, they started to attend to our classes in New York. And after 20 years, David says, why don't you write this book, this material? I said, I'm not a writer. He says, I will help you write it. He sold his house, he resigned from his college, and he came and lived at the center. He says it will take him 2 years to finish this book. Took him 10. In the meantime, I I met a very good painter in Holland, and he made this painting. You have a picture of it yourself, right? So the original painting, the knees were touching the ground. And the publisher says, I will not publish the book because nobody will buy it, because nobody sits with the knees touching the ground. People won't be able to relate to it. So he had the painter paint this with the knees up in the air. I had to spend $500 extra to have him paint. But you can't argue with the publishers. But one thing I argued with him, I did not show the chakras in the front of the body. Every single book written on the chakras shows the chakras in the front. And the publisher says, but if the chakras are affecting in the back, how come there are 1,000 books out and they all have the chakras in the front? I said, body is much more interesting in the front than it is in the back. It's again a marketing tool. So the painter, he very discreetly put the face over here. It's like looking sideways. This is the spine. It's made in the shape of tambura because the tambura is an instrument that can vibrate your spinal column in such a way that literally the light of the chakras can more easily come. Now the question will be, how does the light enter the body? You see, light is very much like the sun. If you expose your body to it, you get some benefit from it. If you don't, then your vitamin D level will be low, right? Same is with the 7 chakras. If we expose ourselves to the light of the chakras, you get the benefit from them. Then I realized that many people don't have the openings enough. These are called micro chakras, which are the pathways like the rays of the light. The pathways of the rays of the light from the chakras is what is called micro chakras. When I started to observe the micro chakras, it was shock. 50% of the micro chakras in the right channel, we have 3 channels. In the Sushumna channel, there is a Vajrini, Chitrini, and Brahmanadi. It's also called Shiva Nadi, the passage to Shiva, which is where the Kundalini rises in the central channel. And if you don't do proper practices, it can rise in a wrong channel and literally it can destroy. Like if maybe some of you have known about the man named Gopi Krishna. Have you ever read anything from Gopi Krishna? He was the man who decided that he will awaken his Kundalini on his own without the help of any guide. Well, he sure put together all the tantras and everything, that he followed the practices, but the Kundalini rose in the Vajrani. It almost destroyed his liver, his right kidneys. I met Gopi Krishna twice in my life. Once in Switzerland where he was doing a workshop. And he says, it is agony to do these things on your own. But anybody who's interested in Kundalini, before you practice any Kundalini yoga practices, I'm not referring to the Kundalini yoga known by Yogi Bhajan. That has nothing to do with Kundalini yoga, this authentic Kundalini yoga. So if you do start to practice any sounds or any bead sounds that stimulate the Kundalini, I would like you to read Gopi Krishna first very carefully before you do that. It's a very delicate system and it's a very powerful system, and if you don't have the proper guidance, it can cause a lot of difficulty. So it's just a word of warning. How much time do we have? 10 minutes, so that's good. Because I can go on all night. So I love this subject. I tell you, it's so much joy to see when people respond. You know, it's just incredible. Some people ask me, "You're 84 years old and traveling around the world 3 times a year. How do you do that?" I said, "You people inspire me. That's why I do that." You know? If there is anyone with any question? That's actually a very good sign. That means that you heard everything I said. Huh? Yes, please, yes.
You just talked about the micro chakras of allowing us to get the light from the chakras.
From the chakras, yes.
So that's light that comes out or goes in. It was like sunlight goes into light in the chakras, the micro chakras. I just don't understand which direction the light is traveling.
It's coming from the chakras to our physical body. And then through our actions, we translate that light into public service, whatever you want to do. But in order to get more light from it, we got to keep the micro chakras open. Problem is that in the right channel, 50% of them get blocked, just because of our ignorance about birthing, about how we treat the babies. These speechless beings who have no union, who have no lawyers to protect them, they are absolutely speechless. Whatever you do to them, they take that to be normal. But it is not normal. We have a problem. Human race has a very big problem. Our attitude towards sex is partially responsible for it. It's like Freud on one side and religions on the other side. Religions are teaching you sexuality is sinful. Freud says everything is sexual. Hey, where do you go? Most people are sandwiched. And it's all in our shadow side, what we don't express, which Carl Jung finally discovered. Those psychotherapies that help you peek into the shadow side, they will get you somewhere. Otherwise, we live with the darkness. But in our behavior, it shows up. That's why you have more than 50% of the divorces in the world. So, light of the chakras is unconditionally available. We just need, you see, the good news is 100% of the left channel can be opened with the mantras, with meditation practices. Even if the 50% of the right channel is blocked in the first 3 years of a life of a girl and 3.5 years for life of a boy. No matter how many blocks we may have in the right channel, they can all be open in the left. I have seen it, I have demonstrated it, I have hundreds of people who have been able to demonstrate that. It's just that we need to make a chart of the, I had brought so many charts, but one bag was left behind, so I can't show you. You know, but in my French book, there is a copy of the chart. In English, we don't have it, right? Yeah. This is printed in French as well, which is a little bit thicker. I don't know why. Yeah, it really, it's not that the paper is thicker. It takes too many words to express in French what is expressed in English in very short manner. My translator was saying, Shyamji, I didn't write anything from my own. It's everything that you have said in the book. But then why is it 1/3 bigger than this? She says it's the French language. Thank God I don't know it. Yeah. Yes, please.
Can you identify the differences between the nadis and the microchannels? Are they the same micro chakras? Is that?
No, nadis are, there are 72,000 nadis, right? 3 of them are major nadis, Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna. Then in the Sushumna, there are 3 channels, Vajrini, Chitrini, and Shiva Nadi. Those are the nadis that are connected with the micro chakras. The rays of the light of the chakras is coming to us through Vajrini in the right channel and Chitrini in the left. Chitrini can be opened, absolutely 100%. I have seen that happen. You know, I couldn't write about the techniques in this book because to talk about right and left channel micro chakras, 98 micro chakras are explained in this book. And my publisher would refuse to put another 100 pages to write about the central channel. He says, you can write another book. But anyone who wants to have a child, this book should be on their priority list. Yeah. You will save a human being. You will not have 50% of their right channel get blocked. It's simple. Human race is so addicted to the customs that even if something is not working, they keep on doing it. Isn't that interesting? Huh? I mean, we see every animal, they squat to produce a baby. Is that right? They squat. They don't lay down and ask a doctor to come and pull the baby out. Hey, is this a race or what? Why not take advantage of the gravity? Let the weight of the baby is usually 7, 8, 10, 12 pounds. That's a lot of weight. The gravity will pull it if you know how to squat, which is not very hard. It will save you $5,000 as well. There was I'll tell you, do we have a time for a little story? Okay. Have you ever heard a name, Dr. Frederic Laboyer? Anybody? You have. You, well, wonderful. Now, I tell you the story about him. 9 kilometers from where I was raised, a town called Bareilly, he was vacationing and he was traveling in a rented chauffeured car, and all of a sudden he heard some scream, and he rolled his window down, told the driver to stop, and he looks in a little field. A young girl was cutting some vegetables, grass, whatever, and she was pregnant. She was going to deliver the baby. So she screamed for her mother to come. So her mother came, aunt came, and at the last was a grandmother with a towel. These 2 women, they held her from her armpits. The girl squatted. By then, the grandma was there with a towel, and the baby came out. And he is a pediatrician. He said, oh my God, did we miss the boat? He came back to Paris, and he created the most beautiful clinic. Women, you know, they're not even married yet, and they make a reservation now because, yeah. They are producing babies squatting in a beautiful hammam, laden with all kinds of candles and incense and spiritual experience. 5,000 euros, of course. So, yeah. The reason I know that is because Marina will tell you, there was a 12, 14-year-old boy who came to me for a private consultation. And his mother brought him. And I feel his spine. I feel the right channel, and I can't believe it. Because normally 50% of the right channel is blocked. This boy had only 3 or 4 blockages. That's all. Then I said, you think he might have been born in an Indian village? No. So I asked his mother, I said, where did you give birth to him? She says, in La Boyer Clinic. Only has 4 blocks, not 25. And 4 of them are there because certain ceremonies and certain mantras are chanted in the Indian scene, and then you don't have those blockages. I still have his chart. It's a monumental chart. Out of thousands of charts, there is only one with 4 or 5 blockages. I have charts of Indian people, but most of the people who come to me, they are not from the villages. They are from Bombay and Delhi and Hyderabad, and they are like modern, where the baby was pulled out of the mother's body. It's really barbaric. It's not even barbaric. If it was barbaric, they would be squatting. Anyhow, there's a lot of business involved in that, so I don't want to speak too loud, but I do want to protect as many babies as I can, really. That's the reason why I wrote the book. But I didn't want to confine it just to the mothers-to-be, because it has a lot of information for spiritual development. So then we all decided that the name of the book should be just Micro Chakras. Forget it. Whoever wants to know about them, they will probably get some benefit from it. Okay, time for one more question. Yes, please. He has a mic in his hand.
So my question is, like, what happens to you if you have these blockages, and what happens to you when you clear the blockages?
Right channel blockages, they cause negative emotions, which we suppress as babies, as little toddlers. Then in your relationships, they come out. If you give me a particular example of a situation, I will tell you what micro chakra related it is. Many people, you see, it also weakens your immune system, because the light of the chakras protects you. You see, the way it works is, you have to understand that in the 7th chakra, it's dazzling light. We can't see it. In the history, there have been 2 or 3 people who challenged, and they fell flat, unconscious. Moses and the burning bush story, you all probably know. Those of you who have studied Bhagavad Gita, you know when Arjuna says to Krishna, "Show me your real form." And he says, "Baby, you won't be able to take it." He says, no. I am the prince, I am the brave one. I can. So Krishna started to then show his Virat Rupa. And what happened to him? Can't. Only time you can be in that light is when you are deeply asleep. And if one night you don't bathe in that light, you don't feel good the next day. We call it good night sleep. Little do we know, we are in a state of samadhi. In the 6th chakra, that light in which you see the dreams is tolerable. Vivid dreams take place in the darkest night. Where is that light coming from? I asked the dream researchers, I asked psychiatrists, anatomists. When I ask an anatomist that this tissue is made up of cells, right? I said, do cells think? He said, no. Do the cells feel? He says, pleasure or pain? So where does the love come from? Oh, I think you should talk to either a philosopher or somebody because it is not part of the anatomy. He's a professor of anatomy. Can't answer the simple question. You ask a psychiatrist, they don't know. They know about the mental disease. Like the medical doctors, you shouldn't be asking the medical doctor what to eat. They're disease experts. They're not health experts. I mean, it's like, when I want to buy a car, I don't go to a showroom because I know they'll sell me, no matter which company I go to, they'll sell me a car. I go to a mechanic. And mechanic asks me, how much money do you want to spend? 20,000, he says. Get a Nissan. You see, we ask the wrong questions from wrong people. And that's not the way to live life, you see. Light from the chakras is unconditionally available. We just have to do things in a right way. There's a right time to have a bowel movement. There's a right time to eat. There are right days of the lunar cycle in which you have a sexual relation. If the goal is to be content, and without contentment, we keep on repeating the act. But if you perform the actions in a way that the depth of that experience registers, well then you are living a meaningful life. The use of sound, the use of color. Today is what day of the week? Thursday. In some languages it's called Jupiter Day, Judy. The predominant color of the Jupiter is yellow. Many of you are wearing the color of the day. Every day of the week has a color. Every day of the week has a sound. I'll explain more that in the workshops, when you can have more intimate questions and answers. But life is something, it's like my co-author David Isaacs, he says there's not a school or university in the world that teaches you how to think. He was a cognitive psychologist. He says thinking is a very methodical thing to do. But we don't learn how to think. We don't learn how to feel. We don't learn about sex in a proper way. I mean, backseat of the car is not the best place to learn. There's got to be a better way, huh? So once we get over our dogmas and our stupid customs that we keep on repeating, and then we'll have the same thing. What is anger? What is anger? Where does it come from? That's what micro chakra psychology will teach you. We learn to be angry in the first 3 years of life. We learn to be loved in the first 3 years of life. Foundation of our psychology takes place in the first 3 to 3.5 years. After 9 days of a purification, we do actually 4 or 5 times every year in different parts of the world. We usually have as many people as you are here in many countries, in Colombia, South America, Holland, now in France as well. But small, intimate groups, they come to us in Pennsylvania, New Hope, Pennsylvania. Beautiful little place we have. I have gotten this place just for the purifications and workshops. So people can really, really purify all three bodies. Your thinking body, your feeling body, as well as the physical body. Just the physical detox is not enough. Feelings, thoughts. That's what allows the micro chakra light, the chakra's light, to travel through the micro chakras. And you see it. You see, if we are basically a light. And if we are a light, and we show it as babies, our eyes are twinkling with that light. What happens to it? Customs. Stupid customs. That have to be cast away. There's so much of knowledge we have, but it has to be made practical. I know sometimes these things are difficult to hear, but we have to learn to see the mirror, have the courage to see the mirror. And this micro chakras is basically a mirror. Because without a mirror, you don't know where to put the makeup on and how to shave. It's good to have a mirror. Thank you for allowing me to be here.